Neurodiverse people, welcome to my This Is Me Eilish channel, dedicated to neurodiverse people everywhere, but in particular people with dyspraxia and or dyscalculia. For those of you that are new to my channel, I was diagnosed with dyspraxia at the age of 5, when my teacher at the time knew that something wasn't quite right, because I wasn't up to speed with the rest of my class and age group. It took nearly 3 years, but I finally ended up with the diagnosis of mild developmental dyspraxia. Today I'm going to talk a bit more about what dyspraxia is and what it's like living with dyspraxia, as well as some of the common things that people like me have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Everyone's wired differently, especially when it comes to dyspraxia, so what I might have could be different, less or more to someone else that has dyspraxia. Dyspraxia can also be known as developmental coordination disorder, or DCD for short. It's hereditary and runs in families, so because of that, around 5% of children have it, with up to 2% having it severely. There's no cure for dyspraxia. It's something you were born with and live with for the rest of your life. With dyspraxia, there are 3 main challenge areas: fine motor skills, small and big movements, which is called gross motor. An example of this can range from having difficulty throwing, kicking, or catching a ball, as well as doing tasks or activities that require balance and learning a new skill, such as figuring out how to ride a bike for the first time, and you need good balance and coordination. Other activities can include when you get ready in the morning and you need to tie shoelaces or handwriting. Even writing things down takes good coordination. There's always been a lot more focus on the coordination side of things. For example, people used to be called clumsy, but there's also what people call executive functioning. This is how we use our brains to plan, organize and sort things out, manage time and working memory. An easy way to understand it is working memory is similar to RAM on a computer. So when you are typing things, you can see it on the screen, but unless you press save on the thing that you're working on, it all disappears. With dyspraxia, we have to think about what we're going to type, and then we have to type it at the same time. Whether we're doing an activity consciously or subconsciously, because of how our brains are wired, it requires that much more effort. So because of that, sometimes we need to have a bit of extra support when it comes to time management, organization, and listening to instructions. So while I'm thinking of thoughts, my body is having to work harder to do all of that at the same time. So therefore, it requires a little bit of extra time to get things done. Because our superpower brain is wired differently, and because it's working 10 times harder and is constantly in overdrive, it means that people with dyspraxia can at times feel fatigued, tired, or both on a regular basis. That's due to the fact that our brain is having to work harder and move in space, as well as what you're doing at that time and moment. People with dyspraxia can be affected in 3 different ways: physically, cognitively, and psychosocially, but in all different ways or degrees depending on how the individual person is wired. The advantage of how our brains are wired is that we're hard workers and the best at solving problems, and we're highly creative too. The easiest way to explain cognitive capacity is that it's also known as brain space, and it can affect us in many different ways, whether that be learning to drive or copying something off a whiteboard, etc. But here's the best way to describe dyspraxia. This is a quote from a documentary about dyspraxia called My Dyspraxic Life that I listened to in 2021. Dyspraxia is like running up the down escalator, and you take longer than the people on the up escalator and the stairs. You are going to stumble on your way, but when you get to the top, you would have worked at least twice as hard as everybody else to achieve the same goal or same activity. And once you get to the top of the escalator, no one has really seen that long journey that you have taken to get there. It's common for people who have dyspraxia to have sensory overload, particularly if you are somewhere where it's really busy and or noisy. Sensory overload is when there's too many day-to-day activities, and sometimes our brains can't process any more information, so we start to become fatigued or tired. Dyspraxia isn't going away, so let's embrace it. Because of dyspraxia, we're great problem solvers, patient, determined, and we keep going, and we never give up. So, neurodiverse people, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to follow me on any other social media channels, then the links are in the description box down below. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this. I'll see you next time on the This Is Me Eilish channel. Stay fantastic and we'll talk soon.